Good afternoon guys and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to sunny Malta. We're out here today, but we're talking 5 mistakes that I see a lot of people make out on the golf course, and the first one is here in the rough. So although we are in Malta, it's the same in the UK. If you're in the rough, the ball's sat on top, it doesn't sink down into the rough, then what we need to think about is where we are putting that club down behind the golf ball. A lot of people get in there, put pressure on there, which you're actually not allowed to do, but put pressure on, and they often get strikes very high on the face. So very much high off the face because the club goes straight under. There's a lot of grass underneath the golf ball and never gets the distance where you want to be. So when you're thinking about this lie, we've got to think about hovering that club. So we want to think, where does my impact want to be? My impact wants to be a little bit higher off the ground, so I'm not resting that fully down, which you see adding pressure there. I'm going to hover it probably around about a centimetre and a half off there. So then I build my stance from there, and that's going to encourage us to get a better centred strike. So there, good interaction with the ground, a little bit of a divot, certainly in this Bermuda grass out here, but centred off the face. And that's the main thing there. We can see a centred strike, plenty of mud on there, but that's going to encourage us to get the distance that we're looking for. That's something that I see a lot of amateurs make through the winter, through the summer. If it's sitting on the top, it's the same with your woods, it's the same with the irons. It's going to help you get a centred strike. So you can see my ball on the green there, just short of pin high, so a good strike on that, a little bit short of the flag, but that was more so because of a little bit of breeze up there. But the second thing I see, if you're playing in the Middle East, if you're playing on Bermuda grass, if you're in America, this is the kind of shots you're going to get. Ground's a little bit more crumbly. When we take a divot, it's very easy, it's not solid, it's not compact like you get in the UK, and we have to make sure we commit to these. So a lot of times I see people get a little bit slow, duff the ball, catch it heavy, never gets the distance that we want. And the reason being there, we have to catch it very tight. So what I want you to do when you're thinking about this, if you are playing off Bermuda, is to put a little bit more speed into your motion. So we want to make sure we're maintaining that speed and being positive with your shot, not slowing down. Because as soon as we slow down, that's going to change your low point, maybe a centimetre before the ball. And because the ground's so soft, that's just going to go straight in front of you, especially in the Middle East. So here, we want to make sure the practice swings are nice and brisk, in over the ball, commit to the shot, and you see there, we can get that ball doing exactly what I want. Contact with the ground, we can see that we've not dug in. I've turned the body nice and fast, that's shallowed the angle out, there's no divot, there's no interaction with the ground, so I'm not going to be catching that heavy and leaving it just in front of me. So if you're playing off these kind of lies, it's exactly the same in the winter. If you're playing in the UK and the ground is wet, if people slow down, we don't need to be much off to catch that fat and leave it in front. So in the winter, nice and positive, keep that stance nice and narrow, and make sure the practice swings are nice and positive, they're not long, lackadaisy and slow. Make sure we keep the speed, we're going to get the contact, we then can control the spin, we can control the flight, we should chip it closer. So the next thing we talk about, guys, is tee height when you are using a fairway wood. So a lot of times people, this is a drivable par 4, it's not too long, so I can get to the green, I don't need my driver, I drop down to my 7 wood. But if you're playing a par 4 where you're hitting something for safety, you're hitting a 5 wood, you're hitting a 3 wood, time and time again, I see people have the ball way too high. Then what they do is they catch the top of the club, as my dad has. I'm not saying it's me, because my dad was using this club for a while.
You've done that.
So, sky marks, that's encouraging. This club is going to be still hitting a little bit down into the ball. So we want this just above the ground. So you'll see there, we can barely see the tee. Club sits nicely behind that, and that's going to encourage us to still hit down and get a good strike on that ball. So not too high. That allows me then just to set up this as of normal. I'm not worried about going straight underneath the golf ball. Think if you're somebody who goes straight underneath it, then this is what you need to think about. And a good shot just down the left hand side there, so left hand side of it, but a good solid strike out of the centre of the face, and that's going to make sure that I get the distance that I'm expecting from this club. If you hit it off the top of there, you're going to lose so much distance. You're then going to turn a hole that's short, to a long shot in for your second, make it very hard. It might be very high on your stroke index and you've made it look very hard from using a club that you designed to use for a bit more safety. So, point 4 and 5 are both with the driver. So one thing that I see and I talk about in all the course management sessions is using a tee box to your advantage. So think about what kind of shape you hit consistently, and don't be like Dave Harrison, if you have watched the course management on a Wednesday, and just tee up in the middle. You've got to think about that. If I just set up in the middle, you can see there's a big slope there. I would be encouraging then for me to hit that ball to the left. If you're somebody who already hooks the ball, it's going to go even further left than you normally do. So you want to look at the tee box, see where the flat part is, and see which is the best for your shot shape. So down here is a little bit flatter. I know here I'm stood outside of the tee markers, but that's flat. If I'm a drawer of the golf ball, if I am James Robinson, aka the cameraman today, and I usually hit a little bit of a draw, I'm going to go on this left hand side of the tee box and aim up the right hand side of the fairway. Then as a result, that ball should draw back towards the left hand side or the middle. If I push it straight, it's on the right hand side of the fairway, if not just in the rough. So I'm using the tee box to be able to get myself a little bit more confident. It opens up that right hand side where I can then commit to the shot I'm going to play. For somebody like myself, the total opposite of James Robinson, I'm more of a fader of the golf ball, which 90% of players are. James is in the elusive 10%. I'm going to use the right hand side of the tee box. I'm going to then open up that left hand side. I can aim down the left hand side of this fairway and be able to fade that back. If it fades back, it fades to the middle or the right. If I overfade it, it's in the right hand rough. And if I pull it dead straight left, it's in the left hand rough. So again, making sure that my misses are going to be in play and usable. And that's the main thing there. We want them to be in play, in the rough, not in the trees. Point number 5. Similar to the fairway wood, is tee height with your driver. So start to think about what kind of tee height you are getting. Are you somebody who tees it nice and high? Because they say tee it high and let it fly.
Can you get a new tee?
Times are hard to friends a few, unless they've got some at the reception later. Again, are you somebody who's teeing it really high but then catching the top of your driver? Your driver is then working down. It's catching the elusive roof of your golf ball. I could also clean my golf balls, to be honest. You could also then roof your driver. So start to think, if you're somebody who's catching it high on the face, your tee might be too high. And that's what you need to think about. A lot of people think, oh, I've actually got under that one somehow, but I've not hit down. You've hit too much down, so tee the tee a little bit further down. You're going to catch closer to the middle of the face. Again, if you're somebody who launches it very low, you might be somebody who has it too low from where James is. He stands right behind that. We can't see the golf ball. We're not going to get that ball airborne. We're going to catch low on the face potentially, and it's going to go very low and lose a lot of distance. So ideally, from where James is, what we want to see is that half of that golf ball is above the ball, so even higher than that. And this might be a surprise to yourself. You might be surprised of, well, that's a lot higher than I tee it. Is that good from that angle, James?
Oh, loving it.
Loving it. So that might look extremely high to you. But if you're catching it low on the face, look where your tee marks are on the face of your driver. It's going to give you all the feedback that you need. From there, I can build my stance. I'm going to aim just down the left, play my normal swing. That should fade back to the middle. Slightly pull that. That's down the left-hand side. That's just into the rough. It's not in the trees, but a solid strike. We can see the tee mark, the fresh one just there. So the ball has hit the middle of the face. We can even see the ball mark just about on the club face. So tee height, guys, is a massive thing you need to think about. After you've picked the correct side of the tee box, you need to think about what tee height you have got, what kind of strikes are you getting, where is it hitting on the face. Sometimes for myself it can hit anywhere on the face, but the tee height is going to make sure that it goes through that centre of the club face. Even if it's off the toe or if it's off the heel, we're still going to get it going down the middle or in play for your second shot. So guys, that's 5 tips that I see that are stupid mistakes that a lot of amateur golfers make, including, well, not amateurs, but mistakes that me and James make occasionally. So keep an eye on those, guys. Make sure that you're not doing them, and that should help you reduce your handicap. So guys, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again later in the week.
People are Wake Forest.